and I'd like to introduce you to an idea that's changed the way I interpret life. Most of us go through our days externally focused, and that's an important thing to do as we build careers, explore relationships, and find partners, perhaps raise families. In effect, we're making our way in the world, trying to find our place and be as happy and fulfilled as possible. I often meet with people who are interested in bending others in their life to their own will. We tend to believe that our own inner feelings, thoughts, and ideas are the truth, that our experience is the way things are, and that we're objective. That's just not true. All of the above, for me, are interpretations filtered through my lens, and there are 9 different lenses that shape our personality. It really is shocking to see how little thematic variance there is between people. I use a personality model called the Enneagram each day in my life to better understand the people I meet with in therapy, to understand their motivations, desires, struggles, and quite often the most effective way for them to create desired change that they come to me seeking. To a lesser extent, because I'm also a person, I apply the Enneagram to understanding my own behaviors, my own motivations, to shining a flashlight into my own blind spots. The Enneagram is significantly more than any other personality system I've received training in. It's a body of wisdom, a path to enlightenment, and a vehicle for understanding ourselves, even those parts that I'd rather go unnoticed. Embedded within it are practical means to accept myself and begin overcoming the limits of my personality and that little voice inside each of us that I call the inner critic. Perhaps you're familiar with it. It is a different message for people with different personality styles. But generally, it all boils down to you're not good enough. I'd like to share a story. A man was walking home late one night and he saw another searching underneath a streetlight on his hands and knees for something on the ground. "Brother, what have you lost?" the man said. "The key to my house," was the reply. "Well, I'll help you look." Soon both men were down on their knees looking for the key, and after a number of minutes, the one man who came to help said, "Where exactly did you drop it?" "Over there in my house." The first man jumped up and he said, "Why are you looking for it here?" "Because there's more light here than inside my house." Much like that story, most people don't find what they're looking for because they put their attention in areas that don't lead to change. The result's feeling alone and vulnerable, frustrated. I've tried everything. The Enneagram provides a blueprint for understanding and change, and it sheds light in the right places. There are 9 personality styles, and each of us has developed a dominant style in one. The limits of our dominant style filters our experience. It shapes our thinking and our understanding. It controls our behaviors, and there are typical common struggles and common paths to growth. In a very real way, this highlights the need for different approaches to challenges than the standard one-size-fits-all advice that other people give. What works for someone dominant in personality style 1 would almost never work for someone who's a type 4. What fits the worldview of a person who is dominant in style 2 would never be acceptable to me as an 8. Once a person learns the patterns of their type, it's a simple thing to look back over your life and recognize the unconscious drives and motivators that shaped those experiences when we thought we were responding naturally and appropriately. Another benefit of learning these patterns is that I gain the ability to recognize the times and the patterns where I begin deceiving myself now and doing the same old things that have never been effective in getting what I really want in the first place. The number of times that clients say to me, "That's just the way I am. It's not going to change." I can't even count it. I expect to hear it. People often identify with certain desirable characteristics in themselves. And they might identify themselves by their job or their hair color or their physical appearance. Perhaps different labels. I'm a Christian, I'm a Muslim, I'm an African American, I'm a soldier, I'm a veteran. And the characteristics that we associate, or that others would hope that we associate it with those labels. Whatever the characteristics we identify with, we often claim the desirable ones and pretend that the opposites don't exist. While each of us are unique, it's often helpful for people coming to therapy to learn that X, Y, and Z behaviors don't indicate that they're crazy. It's one of 9 variations of normal that everybody in this type is at least familiar with, and more often than not, struggles with. My idea of the Enneagram and personality is that these are the behaviors we do when we're on autopilot, paying attention to the external world rather than to our own internal experience. Our egos believe that our way is the right way, and everything external would be better if it were just the way we preferred it. How much better would it be if everyone focused on what they could control? Focused their attention internally on their own thoughts, their own feelings, their own behaviors, and were conscious, aware of the patterns that kept them from happiness. The reality is that we each are the biggest players in sabotaging our own deepest desires. We create our own unhappiness, and often are totally unaware that we're doing it. We often operate under the assumption that other people see the world the way that we do, and will often give credit for our dissatisfaction to their not seeing or doing something the way that we would. Using the Enneagram as a tool provides a mechanism for me to have a personality, rather than for my personality to have me. All too often, even still, after 2 years of doing this and introspective stuff and putting other people into boxes, I still find myself on autopilot at times, a slave to my dominant personality style, rather than being someone more self-actualized with a personality that flavors who I am. Learning the Enneagram system is really simple to get oriented to, but I suspect I'll spend the rest of my life learning about it. But learning the system allows one to understand themselves, understand others. Why in the heck did they do that? What were they thinking? Interact with other people, minimize conflicts, and help ourselves and others be more effective. This is used in professional coaching, executive coaching for Fortune 500 businesses to help people understand, hey, this is how I motivate this person to do something. These are the conditions they would work best in. Here's a job field that would be great for them, terrible for me. Learning the Enneagram allows us to shed a light in some of those dark places. Perhaps more important, in my opinion, it provides a framework to begin understanding the hidden motivations we each carry and lie to ourselves about. It's funny. The person I believe 100% of the time is me. The person who lies to me more than anybody else on the planet is me. Each of the 9 types has common ideas, common ways of thinking, common defense mechanisms, behaviors under stress, common behavioral health issues, common foci of attention, ways of speaking, etc. Each type has a pattern of inner logic, coping means, things they pursue and things they avoid. Learning to recognize these in others and in oneself and the automatic habits associated with each style is really astonishing. 2 years later, even with daily use of this system, I still find myself routinely amazed at how prevalent and persistent these patterns are. I invite you to take one of the tests listed on our website for free and learn more about yourself and those you care about. I haven't found a more useful tool in any of the things that I geek out about. You can see books behind me. I've read them, and it's on all sorts of things because I really am a nerd. But of all the things that I've been trained in, that I've done through self-study, the Enneagram system of personality is probably the most beneficial thing I've invested time in. If you have certain folks here at CFT, you might learn that there's a drinking game that requires the people around the table to drink every time I bring up personality type in casual conversation. I didn't know that, but they let me in on the secret. Learning this system has shaped the way I think and the framework from which I consider others. Are you interested? I'm sure that if you talk to me, you'll hear all about it. The system's called the Enneagram, Enneagram. If you Google, you'll get thousands of hits. Just pick one, go there. There are a bunch of simple tests. Easy ones are on our website, clarksvillefamilytherapy.com. Click the Enneagram link, take the test, and shoot me an email, kenmurraylcsw@gmail.com. Tell me what your type is. If you call me on the phone, I can probably tell you in 5 minutes what your type is. And I will fill your inbox with all sorts of resources. Thanks for listening. Hope you find this helpful.